Director of Graduate Enrollment and Student Services here at the ILR School at Cornell University. We're really excited that you could join us today because we're going to be talking about the student experience. So I currently have 3 current MILR students here with me today, Sabrina, Alice, and Jeff, and we're going to have a discussion about their process from going to prospective student to admitted student, accepting their offer, and then coming to ILR to study. So all of these students are in their final year or final semester at the ILR school. So we really wanted to give you an opportunity to post questions, to have conversations, and hear directly from them about what that student experience has been like over the course of their time here. So I just want to remind you as we're getting started, if you have questions, this is a live webcast, so you can submit questions at any point as we continue through the webcast. We'll probably give Alice, Sabrina, and Jeff some time to answer just general questions that I've prepared. We'll talk a little bit about their experience, and then we'll begin to fold in your questions as the webcast continues. If you are submitting a question, we ask that you submit it with your email address and not anonymously. That way, if we run out of time and we don't get to the question, we will be able to follow up with you and email the answer to the question directly to you. So I want to make sure that we maximize our time and you get to hear from our students. So I'm going to start by just turning it over to Sabrina, letting her introduce herself, tell you a little bit about herself. I asked the students to share with you first sort of where they're from and where they went to undergrad, what their major was, and their concentration currently here at the ILR school. So, Sabrina?
Yeah, thanks, Christy. So I'm Sabrina. I moved here from Texas, went to the University of Texas at Dallas for undergrad, worked for just under 5 years, and then moved to Ithaca, an HR&O concentration, and we'll be graduating in December, actually, so pretty close to the end.
Great. And so HR&O is Human Resources and Organizations. So that is a concentration that's very popular among our students here. And that's what Sabrina is looking to do when she leaves here in December. So Alice?
So my name is Alice, and I'm from Hong Kong. So I went to my undergrad at the London School of Economics. My undergrad degree is in Human Resource Management and Employment Relations. So currently my concentration is in International and Comparative Labour, and I am in my second last semester in the program. So.
Great, thanks, Alice. And Jeff?
Hi, I'm Jeff. I went to undergrad at Ohio State University, and I was a logistics major. And then after that, I worked for 4 years in supply chain before coming to the ILR school.
Okay.
I'm in HR&O concentration, and I'm in my second year in the program.
Okay. So the people that are joining us in the webcast today are really sort of where you were maybe 2 years ago and thinking about, is this the program for me? Should I apply? What should I expect? What for you was that thing that as you were researching and in that position and thinking about what you wanted to do, why did you apply to the ILR school for your master's degree, and sort of what were you hoping to get from the program to sort of propel you to that next step in your career?
Sure, I can start.
Yeah, sure.
So for me, I had a business background, so I was looking for more in-depth HR curriculum, and I just felt like the ILR school really offered a myriad of courses in HR, but then also the different concentrations piqued my interest too, so I felt like I could get a blend of HR focused courses, but then also dip my toes into labor and kind of learn international labor and just see things from a different perspective too.
Okay.
For me, because I did my undergrad in Human Resource Management and Employment Relations, I have a bit of connection with Cornell in my undergrad. So I was taught by Professor Virginia Dolagast and Professor Sharouch. So they actually introduced me to this program. And after working for about 2 years, and I decided to go to grad school, and Cornell obviously is on top of my list. And also because I did my undergrad in Human Resource Management, I wanted something that's different, that's not focused on human resource management, only to give me that kind of international perspective to kind of analyze, the labor kind of system, labor rights from a more kind of international macro perspective. And I know Cornell has that program as one of the best in the field. So that's why I decided to apply to Cornell.
Okay, great. What about you, Jeff?
When I was in the exploratory stages of trying to understand which program I was going to go to, I was fortunate enough to have a mentor in the company that I worked for that actually was a graduate of this program. And on top of that, I think the reputation of the program, being attached to Cornell University was a big sell for me. Mm-hmm. And then as I started to go through the research process and learn a little bit more about the program, the flexibility in curriculum was huge for me. I knew that I wanted to go into a career in HR, but I also wanted to maintain a business focus and be able to kind of pepper my schedule with different classes in maybe the Johnson School or the hotel school, which I've been able to do.
Great. That's really helpful. I see that someone has already asked, why a MILR rather than a PhD? And so in thinking about it, something that crossed, did that cross your mind? Did that not cross your mind? I know a lot of times what we say to students is that, the MILR program is certainly a professional degree program, right? And a PhD is more of a research-based program. And so if your interest is going on to do research or teach at an academic institution, that might be the direction of you go as a PhD. And the MILR is really one that's going to give you those sort of advanced and higher level skills that's going to springboard you back into the workforce, right? To either refocus or give you that opportunity to sort of explore, which it sounds like for Alice, that's what happened in the sense of you learned in your undergraduate degree, okay, human resource management, employment or labor relations, but I want to know a little bit more about this international perspective and take that forward into my career.
Yeah. I agree with Christy. One of the reasons why I did not pursue a PhD program is just because I want that professional experience as well, and I want to give me myself 2 years of time learning the stuff that I'm interested in, and also I think MILR is a professional program. It gives you the opportunity actually to practice what you've learned in real life, in school, in real life. So that's what I did in summer, working for KLA in San Jose. I think that MILR program would definitely give you that advantage. If you're looking for more professional experience, and definitely MILR program is for you. And also it has the, very extensive academic flexibility and, and knowledge to offer as well. So.
Yeah, sure. What about Sabrina? Did you or Jeff, did you ever consider PhD programs, or did you know you were really looking to go back into the workforce as after spending some time there prior to applying?
Yeah, I think for me, I briefly considered a PhD. Excuse me, but for me, I did want to go back into the workforce, and I felt like the program here really prepares you for going back into the industry. I think from the courses that you take and then just being in the program now, a year later, we do a lot of hands-on company cases, and I just felt like it does broaden your perspective in terms of how you can apply the things you learn versus start to do research in a really specific area.
Right.
Yeah, for me, the same. I hadn't really considered a PhD, and I think you kind of had already talked about the differences between a professional degree program and a PhD, and those were really, some of the reasons that I came to the MILR program was because I knew that I wanted to work in HR. Mm-hmm. I wanted to take a short gap, gain some experience, have an opportunity to provide a transition, and I think this program is a great way to do that for some of the reasons that Sabrina mentioned as well, with not only the curriculum and the coursework that we have, but also some opportunities like casework and professional networking that I think allows you to kind of peer into the field that you'll be going into eventually.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so I think that's important for our viewers to know and to think about if that is as they're researching programs, that this is definitely a program, again, that's going to launch you back into the world of work. It's not a program that's sort of a precursor to any type of PhD program. It's not a program that's going to spring you into more of an academic setting and to pursue a PhD. It's really set up with that hands-on experience, with those cases, with really learning the practical skills that you're going to need to have to be successful in the field of work, whether it's HR, international comparative labor. That's really the students who have that interest are the ones that I think are going to be most satisfied with the MILR program and their pursuit of this degree, for sure. I think that there's certainly research that happens here, right? And I think that, Sabrina, you and Jeff both are research assistants for the Center for Advanced Human Resource Studies. So there are many opportunities to get involved in research, right? But it's not really the primary goal of the program. So again, it is that mix of practical and research, but it's not setting you up to pursue that as necessarily a career field research. So we've talked a little about how you found MILR, what you were thinking about when you applied. Has your experience lived up to your expectations that you had before coming here? And if so, how?
Yeah, I think I've loved it. I've loved the experience. So I didn't really know what to expect when I came. We had the Discover for the admitted students event. That really helped kind of get a feel for what it's like to be a student here. I would say one thing is our cohort size is a really great size, so we get to know each other really well, develop good relationships, and that helps us inside the classroom and outside too. I think we have really open environments inside the classroom where we feel comfortable sharing, and so that helps our learning kind of go along too. And then as far as outside of the classroom, I think we have a ton of activities that we all get to develop relationships and just kind of get to know each other, so I've really enjoyed the experience.
I agree with Sabrina, and I think it's beyond my expectation, to be honest. It's my first time in America as well, so for me, I didn't know what to expect. I heard things about Ithaca, Cornell, but I didn't know what it's being like, actually living here. And I remember during our orientation, I just felt so welcomed. Everybody was so friendly, and in our program, especially, I would say our cohort, you could definitely talk to anyone. You could go up to somebody and talk to anyone. And I like that welcomeness and friendliness, and even like the whole school environment, not just the staff, like, the graduate office, the career services, and also the professors as well. So I have a very diverse interest in terms of what I would like to do in the future. So sometimes, you do get distracted, and I can just go up to a professor's office hour and talk about it, and then they genuinely really want to help you. I think this whole welcoming, this almost a family-like environment, really exceeded my expectation.
What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I really want to echo what both Sabrina and Alice had said. I think those were my number 1 and 2 responses to that question, but I guess I could talk about curriculum as well.
Yeah, sure.
So, like in terms of the courses that I took, I was blown away. I didn't really have a lot of expectation coming into it. I didn't know what the structure was going to be like. It was my first time doing a graduate program. But the quality of the classes have been excellent. And then also, I think I mentioned earlier that I was interested in the flexibility of the curriculum for the program.
Sure.
So being able to take classes in the Johnson School and the Hotel School have been excellent experiences for me. It's been a way to grow my network outside of the ILR school as well. And I found those other schools on campus to be extremely welcoming of students of the ILR school. And that was just a huge surprise to me and something that I've really enjoyed from my time at Cornell.
Great. Alice, can you speak a little bit about what your experience has been like as an international student and that transition? Because many times, when thinking about Ithaca and trying to figure out what Ithaca is and how it might be different and what living in America versus living in Ithaca is like. What's that? How was that transition for you in coming here?
Yeah, I would So I previously I lived in England for 8 years. So for me, I did understand a bit, I didn't have a bit of expectation what it would be like, but then Ithaca is very different. I always lived in a city, so getting to Ithaca, it was a bit of a trouble for me at first because I didn't know the transportation system really well in here, so I did a lot of research. But then I did reach out to Emily from the graduate office, and then on Cornell website there are tons of information for you to figure that out. And also when I first came into the program, it's just that even though people did not know the things you might want us to find out, people were actually genuinely out there to help you out. So for me, my transition wasn't so difficult. I think you just need to have this open mind and don't be afraid to ask questions, because don't think in some way that people maybe I shouldn't ask too many questions because I don't know whether it's bothering them or not. But it's not. Like in general, the whole MILR community, that including the faculty, the professors, and even though your cohort, your friends, people are there to help you. So it helped me a lot, and by just asking my friends to drop me off at the supermarket, I don't drive in here, so things like that. I think just have an open mind and don't be afraid, and kind of embrace that uncertainty. That's a very important thing.
Oh, well, great, thanks. What about courses? So Jeff's begun to start to talk about courses, and that you have the flexibility within the MILR curriculum to take classes that are at the Johnson College of Business, or take classes in hotel administration in that department, in many different departments on campus. So students in our MILR program have access to taking courses in those other colleges. And there are the 6 concentration courses, which is the labor econ, labor relations. You have a stats course, a labor and employment law class, human resources management class, an OB class. The statistics course are usually that foundation, and then you have that flexibility of those final 10 courses to take 6 within your concentration, 4 within your elective, and sort of as you're figuring it out, that sort of flexibility in class gives you the opportunity to build the rest of the program out based on your interests. So what are the classes that you might have taken that you really enjoyed and liked? And then what are the ones that surprised you that you took and you're like, I'm not really sure about this topic, but I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to push myself outside of my comfort zone. I'm going to embrace the uncertainty and go for it, that you might have really ended up liking or being glad that you took it. So let's have a conversation about courses.
Yeah, no, I think the courses have been fantastic, and I really love, the core is great, and then we get to explore outside of that. I think even within having the 7 weeks allows us to see a lot of different types of courses as well within one semester. I think for me, Fundamentals of Benefits was a really great course. We had a current Comp and Ben executive teach the class, and it was really cool to just get that foundational knowledge that we need, but then also hear how he's applying it in his job and how he sees the impact and the value that he brings to the company. One class I really enjoyed was Power and Politics, because it's actually offered at the business school. But it touches on a lot of the elements we talk about in our OB and HRM courses. But since you're taking it alongside business students, you can see how they come at it with different perspectives and don't necessarily wear or have the same values we have as people who are really focused and passionate about HR. So you get to share your perspective and then practice, what it's like to sit around people with kind of a different focus and drive and share, what some of the impact of people values are. So I really enjoyed that. And then I know I might be stealing this from Jeff, but we're both in entrepreneurial management right now. And it's very different because it's focused on wearing that startup hat and kind of evaluating different options and business decisions. And it stretched me because it's definitely out of my comfort zone. I tend to be a bit more structured, and this is how I've been taught to kind of approach business problems, and this is a much more step back and what are all your opportunities, and think about things from a different way. So.
Well, and I think you hit on something I think that's important for students to know and to think about, Sabrina, is that at the ILR school we have tenure track faculty who, are researchers who are, sort of in the top of their fields in areas of research related to human resources, organizational behavior, collective representation, international and comparative labor. But we also have classes that are taught by practitioners, right? People who are out there doing the job that you might want to do one day, right? And so they're bringing in that real workplace perspective in which they're able to share and talk with you and teach you about the things that and help you develop those skills that you're going to need then when you're in your place of work. So I think that's something to just expand on a little bit more as well. So we do have that opportunity to have those amazing, chief human resource officers or people who are in comp and benefits to be here to teach classes like that. What about for you, Alice, in international and comparative labor? So the different set of classes that you might have been looking at in relation to Jeff and Sabrina, but what were some that you liked?
I would say is the one on outsourcing. So it is a relatively, usually for the international comparative labor classes, you do share with the undergrads, and there's a much smaller class that allow you to discuss the topics you're interested in. So I really like that class just because it not just talk about, how outsourcing works on a global scales, and it also bring in different elements of labor. So it's not just about human resource management, but how about unions and, in different countries, how there's, relationship between the corporate and also the union side, how does it affect the whole outsourcing kind of decisions. And also, I think I would say for some of the classes of talk, even, in the other concentrations as well, the professors, they also try to bring in other, practitioners, other current company executives to your classes to give you that kind of, real life experience as well. So it's not just academically focused. You can see a different side in how, like Sabrina mentioned, how it's actually applied in real life. So something that I really appreciate, because, and also, I want to echo what Sabrina said about the corporate entrepreneurship class. It also definitely opened my mind, to think things very differently, to kind of push me to think about that. I think, within the ILR school, you obviously have to make sure you meet the requirements, because that's the foundation of your program. But you also get the flexibility not just to choose classes you want to do in the school, but in other schools as well.
So have you taken many courses outside of the ILR school, or have you focused the majority of your courses here?
I focus majority of my courses in the ILR school, just because for international comparative labor, they have a lot of interesting courses, especially for next semester for me. And so that's why I want to, focus on something that I'm interested in. But at the same time, I'm not limiting myself to just look at classes within the school. So when I was choosing my classes for next semester, I was actually looking at other schools as well. So it gives you that kind of flexibility. So, yeah.
What about you, Jeff? So the entrepreneurship class.
Yes.
It sounds like is one
quite
that's
popular.
Popular.
Yep.
Okay. What else for you have you really felt like were good classes that are going to set you up for success?
So there were a couple that I expected. One, which was actually part of the core, the HR&M course taught by Chris Collins and Brad Bell. I thought that was an excellent course, and I was kind of thinking when you were talking about how some courses are taught by tenured faculty, some are taught by practitioners who are currently working in industry, and I think it's cool or maybe worthwhile to point out that in a lot of the classes, even when they're taught by faculty, they're often bringing in speakers from the field, and we've had a lot of great opportunities to listen to and interact with a number of different great speakers. And I think those classes really helped me prepare. They kind of set the foundation of what to expect coming in the door of the program, and really helped to get the wheels turning in my mind about where I want to go next in terms of scheduling. And work consulting with Professor Haggerty was another course that I found to be incredibly helpful. And then a couple courses that surprised me would be labor law with Professor Lieberwitz, just in terms of how much that I actually was able to learn and take away from that course. And then also labor economics with Professor Fields. I wasn't 100% interested in labor economics before going into that class, but he found a way to have me hanging on the edge of my seat pretty much every class. So, I've had a lot of great experiences with classes here.
I just want to add one extra thing is sometimes when you look at the things, the courses you have to do or as part of your program, you might not like it, you might not feel comfortable about it, but I can guarantee you that's going to be useful at some point. I can say for statistics, I'm not a mathematical person, but statistics really helped me through my internship this summer, and I have to do a lot of analytical work, and without knowing some of the stuff I learnt in the statistic course, I wouldn't have to get through my internship because I have to learn about all this ANOVA, these kind of things, and I would not have a single idea what my manager was talking about if I did not take that course. So, yeah.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of the core classes, right? Or these required foundational courses. Is these are the 6 courses that our faculty have identified as, regardless of whether you're going to go into human resources, collective representation, dispute resolution, international comparative labor, you really need to have a good understanding of work, right? And you need to have a good idea of what work looks like from management side, but also from the employee or the worker perspective. And so I feel like ILR is one of those places where, those two groups really live in the same house, right? Where they don't always do that in other programs. And so I believe, again, that core where you think, I'm not really interested in labor economics, but, to get out of here, I need to take this course. And then you do find information, or you really learn a lot from the faculty members, from the professor, because, again, it pushes you, it stretches you, sort of sends you outside your comfort zone. And in learning things that, again, if you had a choice, you might not have chosen statistics, but could really see then in your internship how that was so applicable, right? And how that was helpful for you. So we've talked, what about faculty? What has your experience been like with the faculty at the ILR school? Where do you think our strengths are with faculty and your interactions with those? I know that some students coming from different backgrounds and different undergraduate institutions, different cultures, different countries, there's a lot of sometimes feelings of nervousness around engaging with faculty. Are they approachable? Can I talk to them? Can I raise my hand? Can I disagree with them, right? I mean, these are all questions that as a prospective student that our applicants begin to ask themselves. So what has your experience been like with faculty and in the classroom and outside of the classroom?
Well, I know when I came to Discover, it was one of the things I was looking for was, what's the atmosphere like in the classroom? And I was relieved to find that people were very comfortable raising their hands, participating. I think the faculty are, we're very lucky to have the faculty that we have because we're, I don't know if it's because of class size or cohort size, but we do get to know them really well. And then we also have faculty mentors, and they make themselves available to us, whether office hours or outside, honestly. But I think even after the summer, just being able to go back and share our experiences, they all kind of ask, how was your internship? Or, what did you like? Or what are you looking to do? I do think that, in my experience, faculty's been really open to hearing what you're interested in doing, kind of helping you figure out how to get there, not just through classes, but what you should be thinking about after school too. So had really good interactions.
I do agree with Sabrina. I think the whole, the environment is very open-minded, but very respectful of each other's opinions as well. That really translated in our classes. Our professors, they encourage us to express different opinions. Sometimes, it could be dissenting opinions, but they're very open-minded. In terms of what you think. But then also in general, as I mentioned, I got a diverse interest in terms of what I would like to do. So even though the professors that never taught me, I never, had any of the classes, I could just email them saying, hey, is that possible to have a chat with you? I want to know, more about your research and also some of the areas you're interested in. And so, in general, people are very, very open-minded. They're more than happy to help you out, to talk to you. And, even though outside classroom, especially with your faculty advisor, you do have a general good amount of interaction with them as well. They do check on you to make sure you're doing okay. And so yeah, something that I'm really grateful to have this kind of relationship with the faculty. So.
What about for you, Jeff? Have you made those faculty connections in
Yeah.
your time here?
For sure. So faculty's been incredibly supportive of me throughout the process, especially the recruiting process when I was trying to understand the different companies that I was considering. And it was always easy to go to them to get their perceptions of different companies, or maybe insights from having worked with people from different areas. And it was incredibly helpful in helping me make that decision process. And then even now, as I'm recruiting in this year, still they're incredibly supportive throughout that process.
Good. So as you talk about recruiting, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of that's really a great segue into sort of our sort of where we're going next. So talking about sort of that movement from prospective, applicant to applicant, to being admitted, to coming here, to diving into those classes, connecting with the faculty, and then there's the summer experience, right? And what you want that to look like. And while it's not a requirement of the program, no one's required to have any type of summer internship or summer work experience. It's something that the majority of our students, I think, take advantage of, right? They take advantage of the fact that there are many companies that are coming here, or organizations who are really excited and wanting to work with our students, and they want to engage them over the summer and have them in their organizations, really getting to know the work that they're doing, and learning. So again, while the internship's not required, it's one that many of our students participate in, and again, it helps them begin to refine and reflect and think about, what experience did I have this summer, and is that what I want to do next, right? Do I want to work for this company, or is high tech not where I want to be? I want to go in a different direction. So beginning to learn what that professional experience is like, so that you have more information when you go back into recruiting, possibly the next year, to really have honed in on what you really want to do in the next step of your career. I also think that it helps students begin to understand where their gaps might be. So had Alice not taken statistics in her first semester, she might have come back from her internship and said, okay, I've got to have statistics, right? That's what's up for me next. But it really gives you that opportunity to say, you know what, these are the areas, whether it's analytics, or maybe it's finance, or maybe it's statistics. These are the places that I really need to strengthen or build up, so that when I do go on the job market, maybe again next year, I'm going to be really ready and feel like I have this, I have a really strong resume, but also a strong skill set. So you had summer opportunities, internships. Can you talk a little bit about where you were, what you did? How did you get that internship? Was it through our sort of on-campus recruiting? Was it working with our Office of Career Services? And what was that experience like for you? Did you incorporate your class work? How did that really evolve for you, and what did you learn? Yeah. Do you want to, Jeff? Do you want to start?
I can lead
Let's
if
let
you
Jeff
want.
start. Sabrina's taking his answers. So
Yeah. So I did a summer internship working for Amgen in the Los Angeles area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I found
So
that
a little different from Ohio.
Yeah, totally different from Cleveland or Columbus. Yeah, and that was part of what I was looking for, actually. With the summer internship, my goal was to try something new in basically every area. In function, so in HR, I was coming from a supply chain background. In industry, it was biotech, pharma. I was coming from aerospace manufacturing, and then in location, it was in Los Angeles. And then it was also actually a corporate setting, and I had been coming from a plant setting too, so you can throw that one in there also. Amgen was a really good experience. It provided me an opportunity to use, like you said, a lot of the things that we had been learning throughout the school year. I think one of the big learnings for me was our bundle case competition that we do throughout the first semester. This really helped me in taking a problem and framing it and then kind of reporting out on it, all of which were very useful throughout the summer experience. And then also, like you said, trying to understand what your weaknesses are and what you want to target when you come back to school. And some of the things that I wanted to target were like agile thinking, which I'm taking a course in that next semester, and then kind of an entrepreneurial mindset, which Sabrina and I are both taking a course on that this semester. So yeah, it was a really great opportunity to try things. So it's a summer, it's not permanent, it's a great opportunity to try those different things like I was trying to do and put myself out of my comfort zone and try to understand what I like. Maybe I liked what I was doing before, maybe I like something different. Yeah.
What was the day-to-day like?
The day-to-day was different every day. I had 2 individual projects that I was working on, and then we also had a group project with some of the other interns. And it would just kind of depend on, so for a lot of my projects I was relying on other people in the organization, and it would depend on, who was available to talk that day and which project I could advance at what point. So it was just kind of like ever evaluating where I can take my projects forward at what point. And the day-to-day, I'd say typically, it wasn't like a standard structured day-to-day like maybe my jobs in supply chain had been, where I had a lot of transactional work that I would go in and take care of in the morning and then try to work on projects. It was pretty much project work, a lot of thought work and planning throughout the day, and then executing where you would find time. So.
And what was that experience like with other interns? Were they from the ILR school? Were they from other schools? How did that go for you?
So in the day-to-day, a lot of my interactions were actually with other students from the ILR school, which was great. So I was trying to put myself totally out of my comfort zone, but I also had some friends from school that I was able to lean on when needed. And we actually worked on a project together, the 3 of us, so we had a lot of interaction day-to-day on that. And then we also had a lot of interaction with people outside of our function at the company. I think they did a great job of organizing events that put people together from different functions of the business, both like during the workday and then outside of the workday. Like we had weekend fun events, like you could learn to surf. We were in the LA area, yeah. And then we also had events where we'd have speakers from the company, like the general counsel or the CEO, and then we'd have networking opportunities with the other people in the company. So it was a great experience. Yeah.
Wonderful. What about you, Alice?
So this summer I worked at Kelly, so it's a semi-conductor firm in the Bay Area. So very exciting being in the Bay Area. And so my work was with the Corporate Learning Center to do more on, helping them on current project, and something that when I decided to go into this internship, or when I'm deciding which company I should, intern at this summer, I looked at what kind of project I really want to do. Like Jeff said, I didn't see it as a, kind of long-term thing. I saw it as an opportunity for me, to kind of explore what kind of functions, what kind of areas I was interested in. I even though worked in recruitment for about 2 years, but I never experienced an in-house HR function. I've never worked in-house before. So I took that opportunity. I kind of specify a few areas I want to work in this summer, and then KLA really gave me that opportunity in one of the areas I'm interested in. So I was helping them on this ongoing project, on more bit on the change management side rather than a day-to-day kind of HR kind of administrative kind of work. So I was very lucky because my project as well, I got a lot of exposure from just the US employees, and I was able to work with all the global HR counterparts, and I was able to interview all the senior leaders in the firm because that's part of my project. And I was able to do a lot of they really trusted me with my work. So most of the time my managers and I would talk about the expectations, but it was quite hands-off. He let me do what I kind of had planned for this project. So I had a great summer. Also, not just because in the Bay Area, but also because I was able to do the work I really wanted to do. And then it helped me kind of now when I, thinking about what I want to do after graduate, it helped me kind of narrow down different options as well. So, how, like Jeff said, what kind of courses I want to take this year. So it helped me to get to what I want to do after graduation. So.
And were you working with other interns, or were you the only intern at your company?
So for the HR department, there's another intern. She also from MILR as well. So we're working on different projects, but in general, they try to integrate all the interns. So we used to hang out, all the interns from all the departments. We used to have a lunch together. So we had a table in the dining room just for the interns, and then we went to Great America, like a theme park in the Bay Area, and we went to a San Jose Giants game. And, there are a lot of fun activities as well to interact with them. I'm actually still in touch with some of the interns, even though they're not from the HR function, they're not from the MILR program, but in general, I had a great time. So.
Right. So it sounds like you were building your network, right,
Yeah.
as well, in the time that you were there, not only with the people that were at the company, but also with other students from other programs. Yeah. Sure. So Sabrina, you're back in Texas.
Yeah, so I went back to Texas. I was at Dell in their HR intern rotational program or intern program. And I was in compensation for the summer, which interestingly enough, I didn't take a class in the spring. So I got the call that I would be in comp and I was like, we'll see if I'm ready for it. But it was really good. So I had 3 different mini projects and that were really great learning. And so, I think some might go through that summer and say, I want more comp and go back and take that class. One thing I did find interesting, we had a group project as well, and it was around AI and its impact on HR, which also happened to be very similar to the theme for our bundle project in the fall. Mm-hmm. So a couple of us from the MILR program were laughing about that, and were able to kind of think through some of the things we had brainstormed during the semester. And then another thing I found really interesting over the summer was one of the classes I took in the spring was org design, culture and change. And I went in, it was recommended to me by a lot of the second years the year before. And I went into it and we did a case study almost every week on the different design structure and culture and change management. Because we were doing case studies, we talked through a lot of ideas, but I hadn't obviously seen them. And so I went to a roundtable that was by an OD practitioner in the company, and it was really cool to hear him talk about his role and how it really mirrored the things that we learned in class, and it made me feel like I wanted to do more OD. So I was really glad that I took the course and just could kind of see what he was talking about and pull out elements that we had discussed in class. So it was cool to see in current day how that was happening at Dell.
And how did you go about sort of finding your internship? So for the summer. So what was that process like for you? Were you recruiting here? Were you working with our Office of Career Services? Was it a contact that you had before? So how did you sort of land that opportunity, I guess?
So for me, I actually did not just exclusively talk to our career services. I actually found a KLA internship through on-campus interview. So, however, I did my recruitment slightly differently. So I actually talked to the professors. I was able to connect with some of the organizations that they might not be doing active recruitment. And also, I was applying for, jobs that, internships that outside of what, so we have a system called Handshake. So what's available in Handshakes. So I was able to do both. So I think it's important that, when you come into the MILR program, the career services try to give you as much support as they can. So they will, tell you to apply for jobs on Handshake. But at the same time, I think people should not just limit the options. There's so many different internships out there, and you should definitely explore, especially. For me, one part I was really focused on is more on the kind of skills, labor rights, employability. That function, usually with NGOs, they don't really recruit until like spring or until, they don't really come to campus to recruit. So, just make sure you have to understand what you want to do. And then you can talk to career service and they can help you out with different channels of recruitment, or you can feel. I think another thing is to talk to the second year MILR, or and they were able to connect you with even alum, they probably know, or they have somebody have some sort of connection. I think to just be open-minded when you do your recruitment, to just focus on one area and and understand what you want to get out of it through this internship. So
Sure.
yeah.
What about you, Jeff? Were you on campus recruiting?
I was a mix, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I used Handshake a lot, and Handshake was great in terms of finding all the companies that come to campus. OCS did a great job of bringing those companies to campus and providing a number of info sessions, so that was huge in like understanding which companies I want to apply to.
Right.
That's how I found, I'd say, most of the companies that I applied to and received an offer from. But I also did, to Alice's point, do some networking and found opportunities outside of OCS. There was actually a second-year student, for one example, who knew somebody in the Chicago area who set me up on a recruiting path with a company out there. And yeah, so there are definitely a number of avenues to take within this program, and I think all of them can lead to successful outcomes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or internships. What about you, Sabrina?
Yeah, I used on-campus recruiting too, and it's great. I mean, having the info sessions, having people come to you in Ithaca is really nice. And then just like Alice said, using the year above you to just kind of connect you with alum, or even hear about their experiences in their internship. Just having that perspective of somebody who's been through the day-to-day at the company kind of helps you figure out if it's going to be a good fit once you choose that option.
Right. Right. So now we've talked a lot about the program, right? And sort of what happens in the time that you're in the classroom and you're in Ives Hall, interacting with faculty, Office of Career Services, the graduate office, and really, furthering your education, right? Whether it's through networking or courses or creating connections, but there's also, right, life outside of the program, right? Our opportunities to do something different in the program, whether it's an opportunity to be a research assistant, or an opportunity to serve on an executive board of one of the student organizations, or be involved in other student groups that are on campus. Can you just talk a little bit about sort of outside of the classroom, what that experience has been like for you, and maybe talk a little bit about that sort of research assistant position for the Center for Advanced Human Resource Studies, but also, again, your experiences in leadership opportunities or engagement opportunities. Do you want to start, Alice?
Sure. There are a lot of opportunities, not just within the MILR graduate community, but also on campus. So I'm currently, when we talk about the graduate community in the ILR school, I'm the president of the International Graduate Student Association. So there are things that I think sometimes when people think, oh, it's a lot of work, these kind of things, but you have to think about how you're going to make your experience here, the best. You need to take those advantages. You need to take those opportunities. They don't just come here and wait for you. You have to be active. So, and I, being in the, IGSA, it's been a great experience. I was able to build friendship from there, working with the second year MILR at that time, and also, with the current board, and also we got new first year MILRs. So it's a great experience, and also it helps you to give that sense of accountability, of responsibility, to bring your cohort together, because you have to organize events for your cohort. So I think that's been amazing experience for me. And also I'm involved in this undergraduate students mentoring undergrad students. This program is a Cornell-wide initiative. And so you meet different people, graduate students from different disciplines, and also you meet undergrads from different disciplines as well. So it wasn't just me giving back things to them, giving them advice. It was a two-way thing, I think. I learned way more about the undergrad experience from them as well. Never went to undergrad in America. So I think it's just make sure you be active, look out for those opportunities, and obviously you have to manage your time sensitively, but at the same time, do not be shy or afraid, scared to do things outside of your comfort zone.
So can you talk a little bit about what are some of the events you've spearheaded and done with the International Graduate Student Association that you feel like has created community or education or awareness?
Yeah. So for the IGSA, the purpose is to, because we are very lucky in terms of, in our MILR program, we have people coming from different cultures, coming from different countries, and it's great that you have the opportunity, you need to know, what are your classmates' background, and that will help you in your job as well, because now organizations are going very global, and so we try to organize an event that we could help kind of bridge the gap between domestic and international students, but it's not exclusively just talking about, domestic students. So we have events like Thanks Diwali, celebrating, Thanksgiving and Diwali, because they're usually around the same time. So we've got cultural nights, and these kind of events, we just want to kind of bring that cultural awareness to our cohort and to let our cohort understand each other a bit more. So.
Right, sure. What about you, Sabrina? What are those things you've been involved in that are sort of outside of the classroom?
I'm not on any executive boards, but I love all the events, and they definitely become traditions, I think, for MILR, so I really enjoy them. Jeff and I are both research assistants for CARS, such as the Center of Advanced Human Resource Studies, and so that's been really great. We have a topic that we get to pick for the semester and interview companies on, and then we will report out on what we find, and so it's been a really good opportunity just to do a little bit of research, like you said, and dive deep on a certain topic that we're really interested in, and then get the perspective of people who are doing really related work day to day. So I've loved that. And then I think even outside of the ILR school, which there are constantly events, so your calendar will always be full. I think sometimes we have to figure out which ones we want to do. But even outside of ILR, the other schools have clubs. So there's a Johnson Africa Business Club, which has been really great for learning again about a different market, and how some of the things we learned could apply in a different context. And then I think some students have even been in plays. Some they play tennis. So there's an opportunity to just get some downtime and extracurriculars that aren't as academic focused as well.
Right, and I think it's also about as we were talking about this wonderful opportunity to take classes in College of Business or other units on campus. There's also all these opportunities to take other classes like piano. I've gone to a piano recital of a MILR student. And yoga and rock climbing and sailing and a language and all of those things. Again, maybe not, they're not counted toward your degree, they're not working toward the degree requirements, but they're just helping you develop a new skill, and that you're on a college campus that has all of these opportunities. You're here, why not take advantage and learn boxing and karate and those things, which I think that students also partake in, that can enhance their experience. But for Jeff, for you, how has that team approach been in that CARS RA?
Oh, it's
sort
been
of working together.
Yeah, it's been excellent. I think we were really lucky to be paired up together, honestly, because Sabrina and I think had a pretty good working relationship before being paired up as CARS RAs, and it's just, I think, made us closer as, I think, friends and professionals.
Okay.
And then to talk about some of the things that you were
Sure.
just hitting on as well, like some of the PE classes, maybe I'm taking Introduction to Ice Hockey next semester. So really looking forward to that. There's also opportunities, going back to taking some of the classes that we had taken outside of the school before, where it's a great opportunity to just meet people outside of the current program that you're in. And through another class that I was actually taking in the Johnson School, I was able to meet a number of different students and actually end up playing on like an intramural soccer team with them. I think, it might sound silly almost, but taking advantage of those opportunities to meet people outside of the school, I think, provide a really good opportunity to meet new people.
Right. Well, I think, when we're, during this recruitment process and during the admission process, our our MILR cohort ends up being, about 60 students that come in the fall, between 55 and 60 students. So it's a relatively small program, and I think you get to know each other very, very well throughout the 2 years that you spend together, whether you're working as RAs together, or you're in the same classes, or you're in teams together on projects, or teams with internships in the summer, but also that opportunity, again, to broaden that network while you're here. So I know we are getting close on time, and we have one last question here that we haven't covered, but I think it's actually a really good one to wrap up with. So what do you really feel like, sets the MILR program apart? What sets it apart from all of these other institutions and programs? Sort of as you're reflecting on your time here, why do you think this might be the best place?
I think there's a number of reasons. I think some of the great partnerships we have, maybe through CARS with the companies that are involved in that. We have these wonderful opportunities where these companies are coming to campus to interact with us, and we're getting the inside perspective that I think a lot of other programs might not get to the level that we do. There's a lot of professional opportunities like that, but I think bar none, this has been hit on a couple times. I think it's how close our class is.
Sure.
We've had an opportunity, Sabrina and I, to take part in a case competition with a number of different HR programs in Columbus last year. And I felt like through some of the interactions and discussions we had, I felt like there's definitely a uniqueness in how close our program is. And I think that's something that I really look forward to carrying on throughout graduation and beyond.
Your career, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I do agree. It's this sense of, I use the word family because that's how I feel like, and, also just with the faculty, with the staff, with everyone in the program, just, interacting, that sense of being, inclusiveness, and something that I really appreciate, especially, being international students as well. So, and, even outside classroom, I was able to travel with, some of my friends together as well. So, that definitely makes the whole MILR experience very different, and not just talking about, being one of the top schools in the field and having access to so many great professors who are doing, some sort of very innovative research. I think that makes the whole MILR experience very different.
Yeah, I'd say they both hit on the really good points. The number of opportunities is just incredible. I think the classes alone are fantastic, and then through CARS, there's a ton of partners, and it really spans a bunch of industries, a bunch of locations, and I think touching on that, the alumni network, so people come here and have a really great experience, and then they're happy to come back, so we get to benefit from that, which is really nice, and then get to have fun with each other along the way. So.
Right. Which is what the thing that, and I always say to students, the thing I love about my job is, in the graduate office, I work with students from the time they're thinking about, what is ILR, right? What is this MILR program? What is this school about? So just in those initial stages to watching them sort of discover ILR and the MILR program, to applying, to being in the program and watching that growth, right? Watching you have all of these different experiences, and then seeing you sort of, really leave the nest in many ways, right? And fly off to do these really amazing things, which I think is so unbelievable, and why I love being, a part of this program. So I really appreciate you coming today and taking the time on a Friday to spend with us and to talk to these prospective students. So thank you so much. And our application deadline, the first application deadline is December 15th. Our second round application is January 15th. So we hope that you've learned a lot today. If you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to the graduate office. But thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to reviewing and seeing your applications in the future.